Welcome to the Sales Podcast, session 48. It's time to get it done. Welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast, session 48. Today we have my good friend Samantha Bennett of the Organized Artist Company. But before we get to her interview, I'm recording this intro on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. So let's start with a few St. Patrick's Day jokes. So what do you get when you cross poison ivy with a four-leaf clover? A rash of good luck. How you like that? That's a clean one. You can use that anywhere. Also, I went out drinking yesterday on St. Patrick's Day, so being responsible, I took a bus home. And, that may not be a big deal to you, but I've never driven a bus before. That's a good one right there. I don't care who you are. And finally, how's a best friend like a four-leaf clover? Because they are hard to find and lucky to have. As always, we like to start with the entrepreneur's creed, which is today is my day. I work diligently towards my goals, which are bigger than me. I bite off more than I can chew because only then will I truly know my current limits, and surpassing them becomes my new goal for today. Through education, accountability partners, and bold, decisive action, today will be better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better yet. I'm ready to produce. If you need to produce more sales, please check out my 30-day sales growth program. It's 30daysalesgrowth.com. And if you need to hire better salespeople, check out my No More Sales Duds program. That's nomoresalesduds.com. And now I bring you Miss Samantha Bennett. And we're live. Welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast with Samantha Bennett, the Organized Artist Company. Samantha, how are you?
I'm very well, Wes. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for turning your video on. Most people, they won't do video with me. I think they tell me I have a face for radio. But what's up with that, huh?
I don't know. They're just jealous, honey.
They're just jealous. You only hurt the ones you love.
That's right. Cruel to be kind.
So, all right. I did a little intro lead in here, but would you please tell our listeners a little bit about the glorious Samantha Bennett?
I'd be happy.
Hey, this is serious. This is all business. You know me.
This is very serious. Yeah. Hi, my name is Sam Bennett. I'm the creator of the OrganizedArtistCompany.com, and I am the author of Get It Done, From Procrastination to Creative Genius in 15 Minutes a Day.
Which I have.
And thank you. Wes has. And, I created the Organized Artist Company because really in an effort to solve my own problems as a creative person. I started life as an actor. I'm still an actor. And I just got really interested in the question of, how do you manage your life when you've got a million different ideas, you've got 137 projects, your income goes up and down, your schedule goes up and down. Little did I know that my life as an actor was training me perfectly for my life as an entrepreneur. Because there's not a right way to do it.
Right.
Right? There's no the way.
There's not? I mean, this guy's promising me for 12 payments of $12,000 that I can guaranteed get there.
Right. The checklist, if only, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like I've got some incredible method and everybody should do things the way I do things. What I do have are some incredible methods for you to figure out what your incredible method is.
Oh. Do tell.
Well, the first thing I recommend is a little discernment on the projects that really matter most to you.
Okay.
And whether that's the projects that are just closest to your heart, that may not even matter to anybody else but to you. Or they're the projects that would matter most to your family or your community, or for the creative entrepreneur, what are the projects that would matter the most to your business and to your bottom line?
Right.
I was talking to a client the other day. He started listing all his unfinished projects or things he hadn't started moving forward on. By the end, he looked at his list and he's like, there's tens of thousands of dollars here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yes, there's tens of thousands of dollars there.
Right.
So, we get everything done for everybody else. It's time for you to get things done for you.
Right. So how long have you been an actor?
I started as a kid. Somebody asked me actually what the first play I remember doing was. And I remember doing a production of Stone Soup. You know that folktale, Stone Soup, right? In kindergarten. And my mom was there in this conversation, and my mom said, no, Sam. She goes, you didn't just do the stone soup in kindergarten. She said, you produced it. You made them do it. You brought in the script, you brought in the costumes, and you made them. I was 3.5 years old. I don't even know how I knew what a play was.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're living, it's interesting. I just published podcast 46. You will be 48. Got one in between here. But Elsie Escobar, she's a yoga instructor. So here we are. But she has a podcast. So she is combining the mystical with the practical and the technological. And you're kind of doing the same thing, right? You're taking, the artsy fartsy, but saying, hey, here's how to get down to business with your artsy fartsy, and both producing the actual art, but then making some money on it. Heaven forbid. Is that really what you do?
That's really what I do. And the fact of the matter is, I think everyone's a creative genius.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's a creative genius. Not everyone is artistic.
Right.
In the same way that not everyone is musical. But everyone's a creative genius. So while I work predominantly with artsy-fartsy types, or people in the healing world or the spiritual world, or just people who are oddballs, the principles really apply to everyone. One of the tags on my website says, theorganizedartistcompany.com for creative people who'd like to be more organized and organized people who'd like to be more creative.
Are they mutually exclusive?
Absolutely not. In fact, I have a tote bag available on Zazzle that says the Organized Artist Company. No, it's not an oxymoron. Because here's the thing. Again, everybody's a creative genius and everybody's organized. Everybody has an organizational system.
Right.
It may not be a good organizational system. I mean, your system may be I come home every night and dump my keys wherever I dump them, and then I spend 20 minutes looking for them the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's a system.
Sure.
It's not a good system, but it's a system.
Right.
You may be happier if you put a little dish, and then your keys have a home, and then they're always there, and then you get 20 minutes back every day, during which you could be working on your creative projects. Yep.
So you're acting, you're kind of doing your thing. I see all these big names on that wrote on your book. I was kind of shocked. Ed O'Neill and Key and Peele.
Right. Keegan-Michael Key wrote the foreword for me.
I mean, I'm sitting here at this bar, right, 2 weeks ago on your launch, hanging out with your dad, drinking a very stout. This thing was, I don't know what, 12 or 14%. I don't know what.
Wow.
I'm drinking mine. He didn't like his, so I drank his. So I like your dad. That's all right. I can drink with him any day. And I'm reading all these people. I'm like, how do you know all these people? Oh, yeah, we're good friends. But you created your business. I met you at an Infusionsoft event with your mom. She came in for the very first accelerator. What was that? Christmas of 2010?
That's probably right. Yeah.
Or 2000, maybe it's 2011.
Maybe 11.
I think. But you were a finalist in the Infusionsoft Ultimate Marketer in 2010.
That's right.
Right. So that's the 10. I think we met in 11. So how did you start to bring things together and say, okay, I've got to get a system in place? Were you always organized? Were you tired of not being organized and made an intentional effort to get organized? I mean, how did all this come together?
I've always been pretty organized, and I've always been pretty good about projects, about getting things done. I've always been kind of on it that way. What I wasn't always good about was monetizing what I was doing. Okay. So that was the big switch for me. And I started teaching the material in the Organized Artist Company, probably 15, almost 20 years ago now. Oh, wow. I would teach the Get It Done workshop, in a church basement to 8 people. I think charging almost nothing for it. And I loved it. I loved teaching the material. I loved working with creatives and helping them move forward on their projects. And because while the productivity part was never an issue for me, all those insecurities and the fears and the self-doubt and all that other analysis paralysis, all the other things that'll keep a person stuck, I totally suffered from all that. So, and then in early 2009, Christmas 2009, or New Year's 2009, when God sends you the same postcard 37 times.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, apparently we're doing this your way. Okay. I had always had just a ton of part-time jobs and gigs and projects and had this sort of cobbled together life. And then all of a sudden everything fell away. these projects I was working on ended. I had another thing not happen. There was a business that I was doing work for sometimes, and they laid off like 2/3 of their workforce, including me. Like all of a sudden I had this huge hole in my schedule and my pocketbook. And I was like, I either have to go get another gig, or I wonder if I could do this organized artist company thing full time. And then I thought, I better get business cards. And I had no training. I had no background in entrepreneurship, in marketing, in business, in nothing. And I got Infusionsoft almost right away.
Oh,
way before I had any business getting it.
Right.
I had a very, very tiny list and nothing really to sell. But I knew that it was where my business was going.
Yep.
And one of the best pieces of advice I've since gotten about entrepreneurship speaks to that, which is work from the vision.
Yep.
Don't work from where you are. Like, oh, what's possible for me right now? Look at what you're wanting to build and work to that. Build to that.
Right.
So I made this huge investment that I had no business making.
Yep. $5,000 back then. $300 a month.
Oh, yeah.
5 licenses. Yep. I did the same thing in 2008.
And there was you've got to remember, there was no budget. I needed it to pay for itself before the American Express bill came.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, that lit a fire under me like nothing has before or since. I tied myself to the desk. I made myself learn it. I was up and running in less than a weekend and started seeing results right away. So
how often do you recommend that back against the wall goal setting for people?
It really depends on who you are. For me, making a big investment like that, making a big double dog dare myself, that really works for me. And in fact, the bigger and more impossible the project, the more interested I get.
Okay.
If it's too small, I get bored.
Yep.
I won't do it. But other people, they set those big juicy goals and they immediately get overwhelmed and shut down and frustrated. So you kind of got to play around with it for yourself. And get a coach, for crying out loud. Get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody who's going to challenge you and really help you move forward, because we're not always the best at doing that for ourselves.
Yeah, the old can't read the label from inside the bottle.
Oh, that's good.
You never heard that?
No.
Get out. I thought Samantha Bennett something new. That's an old one.
I like it.
So do you cover that in your book? How to kind of discern goal setting and...
Yeah. Yeah,
how to figure out who you are, or, how you best operate?
Absolutely. There's a couple of good exercises in the book, especially for discernment about what to do when you've got 137 ideas and can't choose.
Right.
Yeah. But the real test always, I think, is just to start moving forward. Mm-hmm. And, my favorite tip is 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
For the projects that matter most to you, 15 minutes a day before you check your email. Before you check your email.
Oh, hold on. I'm checking my email. Just missed what you said. Oh, what'd you say?
Spend 15 minutes a day on the projects that matter most to you. It's amazing how much work you can get done in 15 minutes. And the cumulative effect of 15 minutes every day for a week, a month, a year, 6 years, it's jaw-dropping.
Now, is this just a trick to get me to end up doing 30 minutes or 45 minutes a day?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's a trick to make you just stare at a blank piece of paper for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing wrong with that either.
Right.
A little enforced daydreaming, a little enforced quiet time.
Right.
Prioritizing, again, we get everything done for everybody else.
Right.
Right? But somehow the stuff that's important to us gets pushed to the bottom of the list or off the list entirely.
Yeah.
So move that up to the top of the list.
Right.
And yes, absolutely. Some days you'll sit down for 15 minutes and get up 4 hours later. Happens all the time. Mm-hmm. Other times it really is just 15 minutes.
Right.
And what I really love most about this strategy is not just what happens when, how much you can actually get done in that little amount of time, but how this is when you sort of set an intention and then you move your feet and then it's like the universe just comes rushing at you.
Right.
This is what I love. I get these, I love my private clients because they pay me so much money, they have to do what I say. And so they'll get these emails or these phone calls that are like, yeah, so I started doing my 15 minutes. I didn't think it was going to work for me, but I said I would do it, so I was doing it. And I did it for a couple of days. And then I'm in line at the dry cleaners, And the guy next to me, his sister is a literary agent in New York, and now blah, 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 you know. That's when the miracles start to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're in it. You know, you've got energy going around it. You're thinking about it. The brain is so good at finding what it's looking for that as you invest in the project and are moving, you'll start to see opportunities that would have been invisible to you otherwise.
Right. Yeah, and that's fantastic. You know, motion beats meditation, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I've loved knowing you, because there's so many people. You know me. I am not the woo-woo type, right? I am your typical Air Force trained engineer, analytical, get it done. You know, why do I need a plant in my office, right? My plant does not work. It does not type. It does not answer the phone. But you know, you blend the two, because I get honestly quite frustrated, not only for myself, but for those that fall for the whole vision board thing. I mean, it's great to have goals. Right, but man, 15 minutes could save you 15 years on your life achievement goals or less, or whatever the commercial goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like vision boards. I'm a big fan of gluing things on other things. I think that's really fun. My experience, especially with creative people, though, is that the vision is not the issue.
Right.
The vision is full, the vision is rich, the vision is complete, the vision has a sequel and a theme park and an international grassroots movement.
And a NASCAR team, baby.
NASCAR team. It's got the whole thing. That's not the issue. The issue is where to start.
Yes.
So that's why I have 50 minutes a day.
It's so easy. So like I was a meteorologist in the Air Force, right? Okay. So everybody goes, oh, you're a meteorologist. I'm like, no, I did not study meteors. I did not look at the stars. Okay. But they go, oh, that must have been an easy job, you know? And like when you're on the national weather would be the easiest job. We got some snow in the Northeast, some fog in the Southwest, and here's your local weather, right?
Sunshine in Southern California.
Yeah. So, but like your local people, especially in the military, they want to know, like in 12 hours and 18 minutes, what will the visibility be 382 miles away from here? Because they got to like drop bombs on people or land airplanes with medicine and whatever, right? So getting very, very granular like that, right? And so maybe that's what made me this way, because I see all these people out there with these big workshops and whatever, these programs, and I treat them like the national weather guy, right? They're Al Roker, right? Oh, it's raining in Seattle. Really? You know, that's a shocker. But when you need to know 12 hours from now, you know, what exactly, and I see that all the time. Nobody knows what to do. If they have just 15 minutes, they don't know what to go get done in a 15-minute gap of time.
Well, and I've got two things about this. One is, the first thing I would do is make a list of 15-minute tasks.
Right.
Right? Because some days you're going to wake up and be like, oh, I am such a badass. I'm going to call that, that opportunity. I'm going to enter that poetry contest. I'm going to, do that thing because you're feeling that bold. Other mornings you're going to wake up and be like, I'm shy. I don't want to do And you're going to need some activities to accommodate those moods. So that's part of it. But the other part of it, and this, I think I have to lay this at the feet of schooling, because there's something about school, I think, that tells us that we're supposed to have all the answers ahead of time.
Yeah. Well, you got to think you're punished if you get the wrong answer.
Right. Exactly. And so I hear this all, people have a vision of what they want to do. And the next thing they say is, but I don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, well, kitten, of course you don't know how. How could you possibly know how? If you knew how, you would have done it already. Right? Everything's hard when you don't know how to do it.
Right.
How is part of the invitation? How is the exploration? How is the sparkly breadcrumbs? I don't know how either, but, we're intelligent adults. I bet you could make a stab at it.
Right.
Start to figure it out. That's the joy of the process.
It's that
and
whole...
you're going to fail.
It's that whole instant gratification, right, that is just invaded our thinking. When I was a stockbroker in 1997, I heard a guy tell us that too many people, when it came to investing at least, people would overestimate what they could achieve in a year and underestimate what they could achieve in 5. right? So that's like your 15 minutes. 15 minutes. No, but nobody wants to think about 5 years. You know, oh my God, 5 years. Well, 15 minutes over 5 years, you get a lot done. You know, and like you with Infusionsoft, so you've been with them 5 years. I've been with them almost 6. And I look back, and it's just I'm making some new programs right now and seeing 99 campaigns created, right? And I mean, web forms, responders, templates. I mean, it's, you know, it would choke a moose.
Yeah.
But I probably made a lot of those 15 minutes a day, you know.
For sure. I think the instant gratification thing I think is huge. I also think the perfectionism thing is huge.
Yep.
I think that really keeps people trapped.
Okay, so that reminds me. You had something in your book about how like perfectionism is a blessing or something like that. What was it?
Oh, well, one of the deceptive aspects about perfectionism is that it sort of sounds like a virtue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, well, I would do this thing except for my damned high standards, you know, like. And
no, hold on, look right.
Oh, you mean
I got it right here.
You mean about how procrastination is genius in disguise?
There you go.
Okay.
That was it. Explain that.
Okay. So procrastination is genius in disguise because the fact that you have a project that is still hanging around, like it's still tugging on your sleeve, right? You've had a million ideas that have sort of come and gone. But there's one or two that are still sort of bothering you and you feel bad about not having done it. That's great news. Because it is a really strong signal about the strength of your desire. You really want to do this thing.
Right.
And that's great, you know? And I know that the strength of that desire quickly turns into nagging. You know, you start to feel bad about yourself. You're so lazy. You never finish anything. Who do you think you are? Blah, blah, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if you can go underneath that chatter, underneath that noise, and really notice, like, wow, this really does still matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So that's your genius tugging on your sleeve.
Open with this. So in the little call out on page 1, newsflash: nagging doesn't work. It doesn't work with your spouse. It doesn't work with your kids, and even you can't nag yourself into doing the projects that really matter to you. So if you catch yourself nagging a lot, pick another strategy. So it's cool. So you're not saying pick another goal. You're not saying the goal or the project isn't worthy. Just how you're going about it isn't right. So figure it out.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Thanks.
And this is available. We'll give an early plug here.
Okay.
Amazon.com, all the good places, right? Can I get on your website?
Your local bookstore. I think there's links to it on my website. Pretty sure. You can also, this is really fun. You ready?
I'm ready.
Text "Get It Done Book."
Oh.
No spaces, all one word. "Get It Done Book" to 96000. You get another book I wrote called 365 Reasons to Write. You get the PDF of that book, which is daily inspirations and for writers, but it works for everybody.
Right.
And it's really fun. It's a really fun book. And then that'll also put you on my email list, so you'll get a bunch of other stuff as well.
So you, who was this? New World Publishers, right? New World Library?
New World Library. Mm-hmm.
So how did this happen? So I've got 2 books, but they're self-published. I mean, you got an advance. This is real publishing.
It's real publishing.
How did this happen? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I had also self-published a little bit, you know, some little tiny books, and I was sort of planning on doing that for Get It Done. And I was in a mastermind group, actually, with 3 other people. I'd flown up to the Bay Area to spend a day with these 3 other women entrepreneurs who were friends of mine, and we were sharing strategies and helping each other out. And if that can't read the label from inside the bottle, I was thinking about spending some time getting this book out. And my friend Amy Ehlers, who's one of the smartest coaches I know and one of my very best friends, looks at me and she goes, "I don't know, Sam." She goes, "I think you would kind of like it if it was like a book." And I was like, maybe. Because, you know, there's a lot of advantages to self-publishing, most of them financial.
Right.
But I thought, well, all right, she's right. I would like it if it was a book. There is still, just barely, but there is still just a little bit of extra credibility that comes from being actually published by a publisher. So I wrote the book proposal, which, as we all know, is another project unto itself. And and I had some friends who had been published by New World Library, including Amy. So she was able to introduce me to her editor. I submitted. They read it. They bought it. I wrote it. They published it. It was actually pretty pain-free process. It was pretty painless.
So you have to write a book proposal?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the secret, isn't it?
Yeah, for nonfiction, well, for everything, yeah. The book proposal it's a big, hairy job. That's a great something to spend 15 minutes a day on, is a book proposal, because there's a lot of moving parts to it. Much of it is quite tedious,
mm-hmm.
but it's incredibly valuable.
Did you have somebody help you, or were you self-taught? I mean, what could our listeners?
Yeah, I bought some
books. How could they learn about that?
Yeah, there's a couple of books out there. I think the one I use most is called How to Write a Book Proposal.
No way.
Totally serious. And it's important, and I would get the most up-to-date editions because, of course, the publishing industry is changing about every 11 seconds.
Right.
But yeah, it forces you to really look at what the book is, what the structure is, what are the other books out in the marketplace that are like it, what's your marketing plan, what's, all that stuff.
So your book came out, January?
February, yeah.
So
late January. Mm-hmm.
Late January of 2014. When were you in this mastermind group that tilted the scale? Has it been a year, 2 years?
So it's been 2 years since I submitted it. So from the date I submitted the book proposal to publishing date was 2 years, almost to the day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And before that...
How long did it take you to write the proposal? Who was your friend? Was it Amy?
Amy Ehlers, another Infusionsoft user. Yeah, the book proposal, I sort of worked on it some and then set it aside and didn't work on it. And then I took a writing retreat, actually. I spent 3 weeks in the town that I now currently live in, but I got a short-term rental here, and I finished it during those 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
And was it a good experience overall? Would you recommend it to a friend?
I would. It's much more intense and emotional than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just me. I mean, books have been my best friend my whole life.
Right. But you've been reading them.
I've been a big reader always.
But has writing books always been your best friend?
No. And to like when it came in the mail and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a book.
It's tangible.
It's tangible.
Like it's heft.
I would say, the one piece of advice I would give about writing is I had a hard time working in Word. Just because in Word, it's all one big document, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd get like a third of the way through and be like, where am I going with this idea? Like,
right.
I wrote this and I'm not sure what I'm saying.
How do you normally write?
Well, I'd never written anything quite this big before. So what I got was a program called Scrivener.
Yeah.
Which is great. And that helped me with the structure of it quite a bit.
Okay. And that's SCRIVENER.com, right?
Scrivener, right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I did look at that. But, it's funny. Everybody's different, right? I write mine in Apple Pages, and I don't know. I knock out an outline, and I just go.
Yeah.
Usually I knock it out section by section, but, sometimes I'll have chunks, a paragraph, a few pages in a chunk, and I'll run out of my 15 minutes, or I'll lose the inspiration. Something else will hit me, and boom, so.
I'll tell you how I started initially, too. I had the idea for the book, but I wasn't sure what the shape of it I wanted. And I kind of had that thing in my head of like, it's got to be perfect in my mind before I do it.
Right.
Crazy. So it was like, should it be a thought for the day? Should it be a 12-week program? Should it just be stories? Like I didn't know. So every creative person needs an idea catcher.
Yep.
So whatever yours is, some people like to call their voice memo, use the voice memo app on their phone.
Sure.
Some people call and leave themselves a message.
Which is underutilized,
right?
The voice and the dictation.
It's a great tool, amazing tool. I like index cards. I find them cheap and cheerful. Whole pieces of paper intimidate me. Index cards I find manageable. So for a couple of weeks, I just carried them around, and anytime I had an idea about something that I thought should be in the book, I made a note. And then so everybody has these pieces of paper. You need to have a home where they go.
Oh, you have to be organized so you can find them later? All those great notes?
A system.
Wow.
So I had an envelope on my desk, a big manila envelope labeled Genius, and I would just drop them in there. And then after, 4 or 6 weeks, something like that, I dumped them out of my dining room table and was like, okay, well, here's all the stuff about money, and here's all the stuff about fear and anxiety, and here's all the stuff.
So how much did the book change? How much did the publishers change your book based on what you originally wanted to do or did?
Almost not at all.
Oh, cool.
Almost not at all. And in fact, I was really proud of myself when I sent in the first draft of the manuscript. I thought it was a mess, particularly structurally. I thought, this is a disaster and it's embarrassing. And I was like, Sam, this is why God made editors. Just send them your mess. It's okay. That's what they're there for. Send the mess.
It's like an accountant. Here are my receipts.
Exactly. So I'm not, this, one of the things I say all the time and I say in the book is get a C. Get a C.
As in a grade. Get a C. Get a C minus maybe. Huh?
Maybe a C minus. So it was a real exercise in get a C, getting over my own perfectionism.
Right.
Sent the thing in. I had to wait a couple of weeks for them to get back to me with some notes. And really, Wes, they had no notes. There was one, she was like, this could be a bulleted list. I was like, okay, I can make that a bulleted list.
With stars or check marks as bullets? Well, what kind of bullets?
Exactly. They had a couple of other good ideas, too, about putting an action step at the end of every chapter. There was a few other suggestions they had that were great, but structurally and content-wise, almost no changes at all. Wow.
And you think, this writing stuff's easy. I got 17 more coming. Back up the bus.
I will also tell you that at one point when I was writing, for some reason it was a real slog. At one point, I just couldn't get going, and that's a little unusual for me. Usually, once I sit down to write, it goes pretty quick. And I thought, I bet I've written about this before.
Oh, yeah.
That happens sometimes when you're trying to do something for the second time, and it feels draggy because you're bored with it. So I thought I must have written an article or a blog post or whatever. So I do a little search on my computer. There was a 40,000 word document. I had basically written the entire book 3 years earlier and had totally forgotten about it.
That's like sitting on the hood of your car saying, I know I drove here. You're leaving the stadium, last one in the parking lot, saying, where is my car? I know I did not walk here. I did not take the bus, nor did I parachute in. My helicopter's in for maintenance. 40,000 words. Yeah. And you wrote that the week before. Please tell me it was a decade earlier, and that's kind of why you forgot.
No, it was probably 3 years earlier.
All right, so a few years. 40,000 words.
Yeah, so all of a sudden I'm like, great, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So, all right, because this book, how many words is this book? It's 219 pages.
56,000, I think.
Oh, okay. So that was a good chunk of it.
Yeah, not everything that was in that original document made it into the final one, but there was a lot of stuff, and you know how it is. There were a lot of teaching stories and stuff that I don't use anymore.
Right.
Things that had sort of fallen off the rotation. So I was like, oh, that's good. I should put that back.
So in your, can you share with us kind of how well are the action steps going? Because you got a landing page, right? I mean, you're driving people to a website. Are people hitting it? Is that working like you had hoped, or do you have any lessons learned from that?
Yeah, inside the book, I drive people to some bonus pages where they can get some audio recordings, some downloadable worksheets, a couple of tools that sort of augment the book, and that has an opt-in, and that's good. Yeah, I'm getting a couple of signups a day from that. So
nice.
People seem to be kind of jumping in.
So where do you take it from here? How else do you leverage this book? I mean, do you have workshops coming up around it, or? I
do. I have a Get It Done workshop that starts on the 18th of March. Okay. I am doing some speaking engagements. I'm speaking at Infusion Con this year.
Very nice.
I'll be there.
Me too. Woo woo.
Woo 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 woo. And me and Pam Slim. And her book is orange too.
Nice.
We like twinsy
Her
books.
body of work, right?
For body of work, exactly.
Very cool.
So she's fantastic. What else? I've got a couple other speaking gigs coming up. Well, it's interesting, actually. I was just thinking about that this morning. I was like, because I'm doing a ton of interviews, a ton of, podcast and blog talk radio. And I was just starting to think this morning, like, what else could I be doing to get this book out in the world?
Right. Well, so did you have a big plan? Does the publisher help with that? Or, how are you going to leverage this? Is there going to be a series? Does this just give you the credibility just to take your business to the next level? Or
yeah, it definitely. There are a couple things that it's done already. Certainly, the credibility, the establishing me as an expert. It's like that just like sort of magically happened,
right?
Which was great, And realizing that between writing the book, being an Infusionsoft certified consultant partner, whatever they're calling us.
All these acronyms.
They'll change it in the next 10 minutes, I'm sure. But as an Infusionsoft expert.
Newsflash. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay.
And then I also got asked to join the guest faculty for David Nagel, who's one of those coaches who fills the room with the $5,000 programs. I'm their branding and marketing expert there. So all of a sudden I'm looking around going, apparently I'm an expert. I'm not sure how that happened, but apparently.
Yeah. When you have 40,000 word documents falling off your table.
Exactly.
Because other things more important are pushing them off. Yeah. I think you're an expert.
Yeah. So I, continue my work with creatives, helping creative people, get their projects from idea onto paper and then from paper out into the world. And then I love helping creative entrepreneurs monetize their work and really helping them move forward on that. So I think that's sort of the next territory. It's where I'm kind of getting the most juice right now, but I'm not sure. But I think there's definitely going to be another book, although exactly which book it is, I'm not sure.
Right.
I have some notes. I'm starting to take notes.
And so your big workshop where I saw you last year, is that just once a year? The one that's coming
up? Big yes. That's the big yes from procrastination, overcoming perfectionism, procrastination, and self-doubt, and making money from your creativity. It's in San Diego in June.
Oh, it's in June. Okay. What did you say was coming up March 18th?
That's the Get It Done workshop.
Okay.
That's an online class that anybody can take. And it actually includes a ticket to Big Yes in June. So
gotcha.
Quite the package. And I'm doing that one on live video hangout. I'm doing, I just got Webinar Jam. So.
Oh, I did too.
Yay.
All right. Well, you're better at reading books and analyzing. So can you read it and then give me the Cliff Notes so I can launch that too?
Please, I've put my online business manager on it. I'm not bothering myself with the petty details anymore, Wes.
I have people for that.
I've actually, this has been the other big transformation for me, is really, really trying to get my sticky fingers off of projects like that.
Yep.
Because while it's important for me to understand the overall arc of the thing and what the tool can do, it is not the highest and best use of my time for me to be actually in there.
Amen. Learning
all the little bells and buzzers, even though that feels really safe and fun for me.
Right.
So there is some challenge there.
It was scary, but now I've grown to like it. When we redid my website, Denny and Dave have locked me out. I'm not an admin on my own website.
Wow.
I can make pages and posts. So I can keep blogging and I'm making pages for Infusionsoft demos and stuff, but I can't add plugins. I can't. And I've found myself much more productive and my website runs much faster now.
Amazing.
So kind of handing over the keys and stepping back a little bit. It's all right. Then I'll send them a note. Hey, what about this plugin? Would this be good? And then they'll look at it and they'll go, nope. And they'll say, yep, that one's all right. We can add that. So it's cool to kind of slowly step back. It is scary at first, though, to hand over the reins. It's hard.
And I just had something happen over the weekend, actually, that was just it was a mistake. It was a simple mistake, but it was one of, but I definitely had that little flare up of like, see what happens when I try to hand things off. I just have to do this myself. But I realized I had this problem, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with this. I had a business that I built with my own two hands, and I ended up with a business that I could hold in my own two hands.
No, yeah.
I realized that if I was ever going to, triple my revenue, if I was ever going to make it into the real six figures instead of the kind of like almost at six figures, I was going to need to change the way I was doing things.
I'll have to write it down. I'm writing that down right now. I built the business with my own two hands. I ended up with a business I could hold in my own two hands.
That's right.
All right. So where can people find you? TheOrganizedArtistCompany.com. Is that right?
TheOrganizedArtistCompany.com, all the way spelled out, because I'm a spell it all out for you kind of a girl.
Spell it out. If you can't spell, you ain't got no grammar, got no business on the site. That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. The next site, which is still kind of coming soon, is the Organized Entrepreneur Company, which is also a big mess, especially since no one knows how to spell entrepreneur. So,
oh my goodness. So is that live now?
No, okay. It's still coming soon. It'll be up in a week or two, but otherwise, Get It Done Book.
GetItDoneBook.com?
GetItDoneBook.com, or again, you can text Get It Done Book, all one word, to 96000.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then your Big Yes workshop, they can see that on The Organized Artist?
Yeah. Or actually, if you go to monstergetitdone.com, you can see Monster Get It Done.
But you're like a friendly monster, right?
They're friendly monsters.
A huggable, pettable monster.
I'm a big fan of getting all the monsters out from under the bed. Look them in the eye, figure out what's going on.
I had one of my Facebook posts the other day was, so you looked under the bed and you found me. Now what are you going to do? Signed, the monster.
That's excellent.
Okay, little children. All right, monstergetitdone.com, getitdonebook.com, the Organized Artist Company.com, and the Organized Entrepreneur Company.com. Okay, I need a drink. Wow, I'm getting parched.
I know, right?
Very cool. So any parting words of wisdom for our listeners?
Yes. The world needs your art.
Nice.
The world needs your good work. The world needs that which only you can do. The voice that is only yours. Anybody else can do the website. Anybody else can set up the chairs. Anybody else can cook the dinner even.
Mm-hmm.
But that work that's really just yours to do, it's just yours to do. And I hate to point out, we're not here forever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have an unlimited amount of time to get that done. So make the time today.
Amen. My new favorite is Pat Flynn. I had him on not too long ago, and he said, I'd rather live a life full of oh wells rather than what ifs.
Oh.
That's a good one. We got a few good ones today, huh?
That's good. We're pithy.
Man, it's a Monday, and we're on our game. Dang. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Samantha Bennett, for taking time. Congratulations on your book. Great seeing you a couple weeks ago. Seeing you virtually right now. And I'll see you in what? A month and 10 days.
Party on it, icon.
Get ready. The roof is not my child, but I will raise it. Raise the roof, baby. Sarah's walking in saying, what is going on right here?
Hi, Sarah.
That's what you get. Just stay out of my office when I'm working. All right, this is business. All right.
Serious.
We're serious business, folks.
Wipe that smile off your face.
Thanks, Sam. Have a great week.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. As you can see, to build a successful business, you have to be very serious. All business, all the time. Not have a little fun, okay? Although you make serious work, make serious money, that's your goal, you can still have fun doing it, all right? All work and no play does make Jack and Jill a dull boy and dull girl. I would like to give a shout out to Stacy R68 and Big One House for their 5-star ratings on my podcast. If you visit thesalespodcast.com, that will redirect you to the iTunes listing. If you click on View in iTunes, a little blue button underneath the logo, it'll take you to iTunes on your computer, and you can write a review. The more reviews I get, the more visibility I get. The more visibility I get, the more listeners. More listeners, more visitors, more clients. And then more clients, lead to more money, but it gives me the freedom and more time to keep producing programs like this at no charge. So please do give a shout out when you get a chance. In the next hour, I'll be watching. And as always, I appreciate you for listening. Please share this on your social media sites. And remember to always sell different.